Welcome back to the channel. If you want to file taxes without W-2 or 1099, here are the steps you need to follow. But before I start anything, please, for sake of clarity, this video is divided into two parts. So I'll first talk about how to file taxes without a 1099, and then I'll explain how to do so without a W-2. Let's start with filing taxes without 1099 forms. So the thing here is that you have to report your income. That's the very first step you need to follow. It's very important to report your income. Filing your taxes without 1099 is okay as long as you pay the right amount of tax and report your income. This is because even though you might not receive the 1099, the IRS probably will. And if you don't declare it along with your income tax, you will incur some very hefty penalties. So don't go there. The 1099 has all your tax information on it, such as your social security number or your TIN, your taxpayer identification number, which means what? It means that the IRS will know that you received the money, and the agency will also know that you did not declare it on your tax return, so don't do it. Independent contractors are required to report their income on Schedule C of Form 1040, the profit and loss from business. So for self-employment taxes on net earnings exceeding $400, that's the threshold here, $400, you must submit Schedule SE Form 1040, which actually lists your income subject to self-employment tax. This is really important. You should also make quarterly estimated tax payments on Form 1040-ES, which is the estimated tax for individuals. So this is really important. So first step, you want to report your income. So by accurately reporting your income, you can ensure that the 1099 forms that the IRS receives from your clients match up with your reported income. So step number one, report your income. Step number two, try to get another copy of your Form 1099. So if you haven't received your 1099 in the mail, or you have, let's say, misplaced it, chances are the issuer has a copy of it. So you can simply reach out to them and request a copy of it. So please ensure that you request a copy of the same 1099 form you lost or misplaced, the same one. This is because if you are issued a new 1099, the IRS will perceive that as another income you have earned. And basically, the agency will require you to declare it. So be very careful here. You want to have the same 1099 forms with the same numbers. Very important. Step number three, you want to track down your data. Very important. We're still talking about how to file taxes without a 1099, okay? So you want to track down your data. So since 1099 is just an informational form that tells you how much you need to report in your taxes, all you need is the information on the form and not the form itself. Think about that, right? So you can easily get this information by contacting the issuer of the 1099, so be it a client, an investment company, or a bank. Because honestly, when we talk about 1099, we're not speaking about only 1099 NEC. You have other forms, other types of 1099, 1099 INV. I'll speak about that little one. INV, NEC, MIS, okay, DIV for dividends, very important. So it is now very easy for you to check this information online without the need of calling the issuer. This is because most companies now allow you to check your tax and account information online, and what you can also request institutions such as banks and investment companies and brokerage firms and whatnot to send you a copy of your financial statements. And what you do is from there, you can get the 1099 information required you to file your return. So this is really important. You just have to do things backwards. So you get the statements, and then from there you kind of like recalculate how much you have made in terms of, let's say, in terms of extra compensation, in terms of dividends, in terms of interest and whatnot. So step number three, track down your data. Step number four, you want to fill out a form called 4852. So we are still having a conversation about how to file your taxes without a 1099. So step number one, report your income. Step number two, try to get another copy of your Form 1099. Step number three, track down your data. Step number four, fill out the Form 4852. So Form 4852 basically serves as a substitute for Form W-2 wage and tax statements. So you only file your taxes by filling out this form in the event that you have been unable to get a copy of your 1099 or your W-2 for that matter. I'll speak about that later on. So by filling this form, you request information about your wages and taxes that have been withheld. And even if you don't have your pay stub, you may be able to estimate your earnings to fill the form. So bottom line is what? Bottom line is that if you don't have the actual Form 1099, you can still file your taxes if you're able to derive the revenue that you have earned in any other way, shape, or form, either by contacting the issuer of the 1099 or by doing your own let's say your own cross-checking in terms of the data yourself. Now, I want to talk about, first of all, I want to quickly remind today's topic. We are speaking about how to file taxes without a W-2 or 1099. The thing is, there are some penalties for not reporting 1099 income that you need to know about. So the IRS, as I just said, the IRS also receives your 1099 form. So the form typically comes in triplicate. One copy for the issuer, another for the taxpayer, and the last one is for the IRS or the state tax authorities. So if you receive a Form 1099 miss that reports your miscellaneous income, you can be sure the IRS also has that information. So the same applies if you receive a Form 1099 NEC, DIV, and INT, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you should still report cash income without a 1099 by law. And the thing is that you will incur the wrath of the IRS, and nobody wants to go there, in the form of penalties if you don't include your miscellaneous income and any other taxable income on your return. So basically, for late payments, the IRS will impose a 1099 late filing penalty of 0.5% per month for every month that the late taxes remain unpaid, capped at 25%. So that means that if you have not declared your taxes for 1 year, you are speaking about 6%. Okay, you also run the risk of understating your tax liability if you don't report your income. So this forces the IRS to impose an accuracy related penalty. So this is actually equal to 20% of your underpayment. So in severe cases, penalties for not filing a 1099 could include criminal charges for tax evasion, which comes with serious jail time. So bottom line is, don't do it. Don't even go there. Okay, it's all about reporting your income. Do your best. That's the bottom line. Do your best to report the income, even if you don't have the actual form in your hand. So when we speak about the different types of Form 1099, I said this before, we have 1099 miscellaneous, 1099 INT, 1099 NEC, 1099 DIV, 1099 R. Okay, those are really, really important. And the thing is that the bottom line is you have to make sure that by February 1st to February 15th, you have the actual 1099 form in your hands, or electronically. Then you have to go to a secure page and sort of download your 1099. Very important. Let's now talk about how to file taxes without a W-2. Okay, now at the start, what you have to do here is the process is sort of similar to what you did for the 1099. So you want to contact your employer. So your employer might be behind on paperwork, so you want to ask them for your W-2. They should be able to send it to you quickly. If they can't find it for some reason, they can usually request it from their payroll provider, be it ADP or another firm. Okay. Now, what if your employer claims to have sent you your W-2? Well, the thing, if they're saying that they have sent it to you and you did not receive it, remember, they are obligated by law to supply a replacement. However, an employer they are permitted by law again to charge you a nominal amount for the service. So they'll send it to you, but they have to charge you if they want to. Okay. And the question I want to ask you is, have you checked your email? Okay. We are in the age of the internet, and many employers have gone paperless and are sending W-2 forms via email, sort of, because there are some security concerns with directly emailing forms that contain sensitive personal data. A company will often send a link to a secure site where your W-2 form lives. And many times the email will come from a business other than the employer, so your inbox might not recognize that email. So it is possible that you overlooked this email or that it is stuck in a spam folder. So I want you to do right now, I want you to go to your inbox, search your inbox for the company's name to see what comes up. Even if you can't find the email, does your employer use an online HR portal where you may be able to find a W-2? Because a lot of times they actually store data on the cloud. Okay, so if you don't have the W-2 digitally, you'll still have options that will help you get your information in by the tax deadline. Okay, and so you can actually get a replacement W-2 from your employer, not a problem. Okay, if February 1st to February 5th has come and gone, you should I want you to take charge now and attempt to get your W-2 from your employer. Speak to the company's leadership and find out if they will provide W-2s to all employees. Also verify the address they have on file for you. It is possible that probably that they have moved after your employment ended and the company doesn't have your old address. Even if the company is no longer in business, it can usually arrange for W-2s to be sent from its former payroll provider. So this is really important. And if you are unable to get in touch with someone at the company, or if it refuses to provide W-2s, what you will do is that you have to actually try to contact the IRS. Okay. And one thing I want to say here is that overall, a W-2 form should be produced for anyone who is the direct employee of a company. So to ensure that employees can file their federal income taxes on time, the IRS requires employers to prepare W-2 forms and provide them to employees on or before February 1st. One thing I want to say here is that, so step number 3, you want to contact your employer. By the way, I just want to quickly remind today's topic. We're speaking about how to file taxes without W-2 or 1099. Step number 2 here, you want to contact the IRS. I just said that, if your employer cannot find your W-2, you can request one from the IRS. And the thing here is that the IRS, as I said before, they always have taxpayer data on file. So you want to contact the agency at 1-800-829-1040. Again, the number is 1-800-829-1040. So once you provide your personal information and your employer's name and address, the IRS will try to find a copy of your W-2. Sometimes the IRS may have received tax information from your employer, even if you didn't. So this is because, again, we said it before, an employer is required, and this is the law actually. So don't let anybody sort of lie to you or razzle-dazzle you. No, this is a law. The employer is required to send copies of your W-2 to multiple places, including the Social Security Administration. So after Social Security processes the information on the W-2, they send it to the IRS to be recorded and processed. Okay, and the thing is that if you have had no luck getting your W-2 and the tax deadline is fast approaching, you still need to file your federal tax return and other state and local taxes for that matter. Okay, so what you can do here is that you have to actually use the same form that I just spoke about, the same form 4852. Okay, so go to the IRS website and you want to download the form 4852. By the way, if you are filing electronically, you can still download the form using the software that you're using. In other words, it is embedded in that software. Okay, but if you're filing, let's say manually, or you're filing any other way, then you want to go and download the form 4852 from the IRS's website, and you want to complete it using a copy of your last pay stub. So you will need your pay stub to include details on wages, tips, and other compensation. So again, it has to be your last pay stub, okay? And you have to think about wages, tips, and other compensation, Social Security wages, Medicare wages, taxes withheld throughout the year. So once complete, attach IRS form 4852 to your 1040 or other federal tax return forms and send it to the IRS. And so IRS form 4852 can also be used if your employer has sent you a W-2 with incorrect information on it. Okay, this is really important. Step number 3 here, we're still having a conversation about how to file taxes without a W-2. So you want to fill out form 4052. Now, there are some rules when filling out form 4052. Remember, the whole thing about filling out form 4052 is that you want to be transparent. You want to be truthful, right? It's not because the IRS has your data anyway, but you're trying to actually provide all the information that you have that you have on your side, so that the agency can reconcile what you gave them versus what the other parties gave them, so they actually to see that you have the exact tax amount. So the thing here is that if your last pay stub of the calendar year, you want to use that. And I'm sure you have it. So you want to use that to fill it out. So the thing here is that, remember, there are certain things you have to follow. Now, you still have to provide all the data by the due date. In other words, April 15th of this year. No, it's not about, hey, I did not get my W-2 on time, so I have to no. You have to actually provide your taxes by the due date. And it's very important to really understand that you cannot get your W-2 directly from your payroll provider, because a lot of people believe you can actually contact ADP or any other payroll provider and ask them to give you the W-2. No, they have it on file. They have it, but they can't give it to you. Why? Because for legal reasons, payroll providers are not allowed to discuss sensitive, okay, this is very important, sensitive personal information with people who are not authorized. Okay, this is very important. Now, if your employer is no longer in business, you want to contact them anyway. They may be able to receive tax information from their former payroll provider. So in any shape or form, what you want to do here is that you want to contact the party, the institution, the company that would have sent you the W-2 in the first place, and you want to do your best to get a copy of your W-2 from them. And one thing I also want to say here is that sometimes, and this works a lot perfectly, you want to attach an explanatory statement to your taxes. In other words, you just want to tell the IRS what really happened, that, listen, I've done my best, but this is what happened, and try your best and write down an actual explanatory statement that explains the whole, that explains the whole thing. And you are telling the IRS, listen, this is what I did, and they will contact you if they need you. I also want to talk to you about something that's very important now. What if your former employer was acquired by another company? Who has your W-2? This is a really important question. So if you get hired by the new company, they are responsible for providing you with your W-2 for the whole year. If you left your job when the company changed hands, the original company is responsible for sending you your W-2. If neither company sends you the form, contact the new owner and ask about next steps. Your original employer should have been reporting data to the IRS each quarter anyway, so the IRS might be able to help as well. Okay, and so do you actually get an automatic extension if your W-2 is not delivered on time? That's a question that a lot of our viewers ask all the time. Unfortunately, even if your W-2 was not delivered to you on time, you are still responsible for requesting an extension by the tax deadline, typically April 15th, right? So filling out an extension form or an extension request gives you more time to complete your return, typically 6 months ahead, in other words, October 15th. If you are waiting for your W-2 or other forms and the tax deadline is fast approaching, filing an extension is most likely your wisest option. One thing I want to say here is that when you file an extension, it doesn't mean you have to wait for 6 months before paying your taxes due. If you know you will owe, it's always important to attach your tax payment to attach your check or to do your wire transfer by April 15th. That way you're not paying penalties. Now, what about your state taxes? Now, if you are having issues getting your Form W-2, it's important not to wait until the tax deadline to contact your state department of taxation if you are required to pay state or local income taxes. Each state may have a different rules regarding how to file your taxes without a W-2, and you want to have enough time to gather any necessary documentation required to support your tax statement. That's very important. And if you are required to pay local taxes, you want to contact the local tax department of your, let's say, your municipality or your city or township to see what other information they will require of you. In any situation, please, you want to contact the tax authorities to ask for guidance. This is just the wisest option for you. That way you don't have any penalties or whatever. No, you ask them and they'll tell you what to do exactly. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. So I want to quickly recap here. So I was talking to you about how to file taxes without a W-2 or 1099. So first, I spoke about filing taxes without 1099 forms. So report your income, try to get another copy of your Form 1099, track down your data, and fill out a Form 4852. Let's talk about filing taxes without a W-2. You want to contact your employer. You want to contact the IRS. You want to fill out Form 4852, the same Form 4852. And then you also have to think about state taxes, state and local taxes, making sure that if you are required to file, that you file on time and in full. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.